Hello and welcome back to these demos. In this training demonstration, we are going to go through the 3 steps involved in creating a trading strategy in Trading System Lab. I'm assuming that Trading System Lab is installed on your computer and that it's working normally. So let's go ahead and do the basic 3-step process to create a trading system in TSL. Number 1, pre-process. Number 2, evolve the system. And number 3, translate and implement the system, in this case, into TradeStation. Step number 1, we're going to turn on the preprocessor. If it's not on the chart yet, put it on the chart. The preprocessor that you want is called TSL Pre-Pro 131 source. There's also a more recent update, 132 source, that simply is a very minor update to the part of the code that shows the description of the symbol. So we're going to run that. And when that completes, we'll see arrows on the screen, and we will be displaying the theoretically perfect equity curve on this market. In this case, it's the QQQs. So this is the theoretically perfect equity curve. It has no losing trades, and it's theoretically not possible to get this, but we can produce it using the next open DLL. Now, whenever I see this ballistic shape up, the first thing I think of is that using constant dollars in TSL might help substantially. So for the QQQs and other stocks and ETFs, they were priced very low early in the data, and then they rose to some ballistic highs. That's represented in the shape of the equity curve. Constant dollars would have a tendency to smooth out these ballistic shaped equity curves. So that's something to remember. So we're going to turn off the preprocessor. That's important because we don't want data to continue to be written to the hard drive, which is what the preprocessor does. So what does the preprocessor do? Well, in the TSL data folder, we just created 5 preprocessed files, these 5 here, and a small data info file. Let's look at the data info file first. So that's just showing the big point value, the price scale, and the min move for, in this case, the QQQ. It also shows the beginning date of the data and the end date of the data, and the timestamp, the beginning and end timestamp of the bar. In this case, it's EOD, end of day data. So that's all the data info shows. If for some reason you wanted to change the price scale or big point value of the QQQ, you could, if you wanted to, do it right here. Save that file, and that would be then used in TSL. The actual preprocessed data files are much larger. Let's look at one of these. So this is preprocessor number 1, alldata62.txt. We have 56 columns of input data, followed by the theoretically perfect equity curve, then date, open, high, low, close, and a timestamp. These are integer data. This is integer data. The decimal's been removed. The other files look pretty much the same, except for the numeric preprocessor, which is considerably different. So here is the numeric preprocessed data file. This consists of much more messy data because it shows volatility and a lot of other differenced and normalized data. But the far right columns are the same. The theoretically perfect equity curve, date, open, high, low, close, and a timestamp. So that's the organization of the preprocessed data. Okay. So now let's go to Trading System Lab and design a trading system on the QQQ. So here's TSL. I'll blue square to open up my latest project that I've been working on. The project holds the genetic programming material, and the parameters are held in a different file. So we have 2 areas where information on TSL are stored. So the genetic program is configured here under Setup Learning. All of this here is the genetic programming criteria. And if you change something here, like let's say you change GWI, like I'm going to lower it down to 2, so I get systems out very rapidly for the purposes of this demo. They may not be the best systems, but they'll be out fairly quickly. The important thing to remember about GWI is you could think of this as a system complexity number. The smaller the number, the less complex the system will come out, the fewer the parameters it will use generally. But the fewer the parameters it uses, it may not be the most profitable trading system, or the trading system that matches your fitness criteria the best. If you set this number too high, the runs will take a lot longer, and the system will use a lot more parameters, be much more complex, and be more prone to overfitting. So that's something to consider. Happy mediums are somewhere between 3 and 10 in my opinion, although I have some clients that find success with higher numbers and lower numbers. For the purposes of this demo, I like to use, say, number 2. 2 generations without improvement. So after the population has been consumed twice, then the run will iterate to the next run. Where's the run shown? Run completes are shown right here. So after we have consumed 2 generations and shown no improvement in fitness, the run will start all over again, and the genetic material of the genetic program, these parameters that are checked, will be re-randomized, and the run will start all over again. So that's the way the generations without improvement and the runs are interrelated. So let's configure using the Simulation Setup tab. We'll use, say, fitness function number 12, which is net profit over underwater time. So I want a trading system that has a high net profit, but doesn't go flat for very long. Now, Evil Run would let us go through all of these fitness functions and all of these trade types and all the preprocessors and other things in one long run. We have this covered in other videos, so I'm not going to use it right now. I'm just going to use the basic way to use Trading System Lab. I like entering on a limit for index markets, so I'll use that, and I'll go long only. So when you set up this GUI, start at the upper left and work your way down to the lower right. So we are using fitness function 12. We are entering on a limit. We are going long only. We are going to use no stops, no exits, but we are going to use constant dollars. So I will take the price of the QQQ, which is currently at about 330, and divide that into my account size, say $10,000, and that will be the number of shares that I trade. So how do I know how many shares to trade? I've taken 10,000 and I've divided it by, right now, 328, and that will be the number of shares that I'm currently trading. So I am going long only. I'm going to use preprocessor number 4. I like using the numeric preprocessors whenever I'm using a stop or a limit-based trading tactic, and I like using the Boolean preprocessors anytime I'm using a market order or a order, for example, on the next open. Okay, so I'm using preprocessor number 4, and I'm entering on a limit using constant dollars, going long only. I'm also forcing some trading. This is automatically set for you. If you don't set this, TSL might find a trading system that has just 1 or 2 trades. It makes a lot of money, and it has no underwater time. Well, it met the criteria that I selected. Problem is, I just didn't select enough criteria to create a valid trading system. So by forcing a minimum number of trades, that's what this does. So we will get more than 50 trades in the training data and fewer than 5,000. That should be adequate. Now I need to apply my settings, but I can also quick save my settings here as well. So my settings for this page only are set right now in the appconfig.txt file. So once again, this is where I set and save the criteria for the simulator. This is where I set, and this is where I save, file save, or hit the disk. This is where I save the genetic program setup. So there's two places that that get set up in Trading System Lab. So I've applied the settings, and I can apply the settings again if I'm not sure if I applied it the first time. I'll go back to the Equity Graphics tab, and I'll begin the run. So we're now designing a trading system on the QQQ, entering on the limit, using preprocessor number 4, fitness function 12, and here are some counters that show how fast our evolution is occurring. Now on the new Threadripper machines, this evolution rate here is running about 4 to 5 times faster. So this computer right here is already several years old, and there are faster computers out there. So you can see that the equity curves are evolving nicely. Under performance reports, we have the trade-by-trade reports and the summary reports of what you are seeing on the screen. Not what you saw prior, but what you are currently seeing. So once the GUI updates, we will no longer in performance reports be seeing what we just looked at. So we have to look at the logs to get historical flow, if you will, of how the trading system has emerged. So performance reports show us summaries of all data trades, etc., of what is currently displayed on the GUI. There's more information in the ME grid. Let's open that up. And this ME grid now, since this is multi-instance TSL, we need to know what instance, or what tag number, if you will, that we're currently looking at. We're looking at instance number 15696. So when I load that ME grid, I'm going to look for instance number 15696. Min-air programs, A with an E. This one is to be imported into that spreadsheet. There's two of them here, notice. Use the one with the E. Let's open that up. And here's the ME grid. Now I can sort this ME grid and take a more detailed look at this data. Remember, we're still producing data behind the scenes. So here, for example, is the all data, the entire data set, and we could sort by net profit or sort by net over drawdown to see how well this trading system is emerging. We can also look at out of sample and again sort by net profit over drawdown or Sharpe ratio or some other criteria. So what we're seeing here is only the out of sample, and we just sorted by net over drawdown. So that is the ME grid. And again, we continue to produce ME grid data. So if I want to update it, I'm going to have to reload the data, but there will be more data coming in all the time, and these grids will grow larger. You can also open these up at the end of the run and get the complete picture, or of course you can look at the logs down here to get a picture as to how well we're emerging. Now we've already gone through 6 runs, so we've consumed the population 6 times, and the run has completely restarted over again 6 times. You see the equity curves are pretty stable, and all of the logs look pretty nice. Profit has been increasing, drawdown has been decreasing, profit has been increasing, drawdown decreasing. In the OOS, the out of sample run log, which happens to be the most recent 20%, where's that selected? Right here. OOS is 20%. If I want to use backwards OOS, just put a minus sign in front of the 20, and you would be getting, for example, minus 20 or the earliest 20 OOS. Notice that as I hover my mouse around the GUI, it explains the setting for you. So there's a lot of information in these tooltips that pop up that tell you how to set the settings. If you set something wrong here, you'll get an error message that will tell you what needs to be fixed. So before I stop this run, I want to show you an important cross-check that you can do. Let's arrange the windows like this. So I pulled down Window, Tile Vertical, and then I arranged the monitor project to be skinny and the equity curve GUI to be wider. Over here, we show in the Overview tab, we show the latest program, the best program, Training Fitness and Validation Fitness and Training Plus Validation Fitness. And here in the log, if I scroll all the way down at the bottom of the log, we will see that same number displayed down here when the genetic program and the simulator are in sync. Now, if the GUI gets updated, the simulator will show a different fitness here than is shown in the genetic program. That's not a problem at all. The genetic program will get caught up soon enough. But the point is that if these numbers are in sync right now, when I hit the stop button, we will then be able to translate what I see on the screen here. Okay, so a good cross-check is to see when these numbers and if these numbers are matching. If they're not, it's not a problem. You just need to be aware that what you see in the in the final trading system will not be what you're showing here on the GUI. Now we can use the post-design evaluation to go backwards in time and look at many other prior systems, and I'll show you how that's done here in a minute. But right now they're all in sync, so I'm going to stop the run and notice that this number here in the best programs window is the same number here. So we have three numbers that match up. So the best program is in sync with the simulator and in sync with the genetic program. When you click on these line items, try to click over here in this column. Double click. That brings up the C code for the trading system. Then you can remove the introns, and that will simplify the trading system down to its smallest simplicity. Now this is a very simple trading system. It only has 3 lines of code. It only uses 2 parameters. The parameters are shown by the letter V in front of a number. So this is using parameter number 24 and 47. That's a very, very simple trading system. How do I know what these parameters are? Well, we need to go back into the easy language code to see what these parameters are. But first, we have to translate this code and drop it into TradeStation. So I'm going to save this code, and I'm going to save it in my TSL Evolved Systems folder. It's a good place to save all of my work. And I'm going to call this QQQ Trade Type 5 Preprocessor 4 Fitness Function 12 Long Only with constant dollars. That way I can go back and look at this file, this C code, and know what it is that I was working on. I'm going to save that. Okay, so this completes the second step of the process. The final step is to translate that code into TradeStation, into easy language. For that, I need to go back to my equity curves, which are hiding here, behind here, and go to my Tools tab and click on the translator. That'll bring up the C to Easy Language Translator. Browse for my file, which is right here. Open it, translate it, and copy to the clipboard. So here's the easy language code, and it's in the clipboard. I'm done with the translator. So now let's go to the easy language documents, and the basic testing shell for all trading systems is called TSL CEL 131 source. Now this is for basic testing and for live trading of some trade types, but not all, and that's covered into the documents. If I'm using trade type number 5, 6, or 7, and I want to go live with this system, I should use TSL shell, TSL CEL 567 shell. That's for trade type number 5, 6, or 7. But just for testing today, I can go ahead and use this one. So I'm going to paste in that code here and verify it. Make sure that you verify it, and that it's verified by looking down here in the lower right. It has verified. Now let's go to TradeStation and turn on that strategy, TSL syscel 131 source. I'll status it, but now I have to set my inputs because I was working on a different project here and my inputs might be a little different. I used preprocessor 4, trade type 5. I didn't use any stops or exits. I did go constant dollars with an account size of, let's see, what account size did I use? I used $10,000. Okay, so back to $10,000. I went long only, and no other settings were set. How do I know what my settings were? Well, let's go back to Trading System Lab, and down here in the Performance Report tab, all the way down, we have TradeStation and multi-chart settings. So here are all the settings. I only changed a few. As a matter of fact, I really didn't change any on this particular trial that I did, this particular demo that I did. But I used preprocessor 4, trade type 5. I used constant dollars with an account size of 10,000, and I went long only. That's all I set. But if you're not sure what parameters you used, then refer to this here. It's under Performance Reports and TradeStation Settings. Let's go back to the chart and turn on that trading system. Okay, now it's running. When it's done, I'll see the arrows. I'll bring up the strategy performance report, and this curve here should look similar to this curve here. And I'll make all these windows a little bit smaller. That should be good enough. Okay, so if I compare these two equity curves, we can see that looks like a match to me. Now we can drill in and actually look at some trade by trades to confirm that the trades are being done. And I highly encourage you to do that as a final quality assurance procedure. But I'm not going to do that. It looks like it was a good translation. So we started with the QQQ chart. We pre-processed the data. We went to Trading System Lab. We designed a lot of trading systems, thousands of trading systems. We then let it run for a while, stopped the run, and then translated the code over to Easy Language and dropped it into the Easy Language shell where it goes and verified it, and then turned on that strategy in TradeStation. Now let's say that I want to look at a different strategy in TradeStation. I want to translate a different strategy. To do that, we need to go to what we call post-design evaluation. That is located in the depending upon the version that you have of Trading System Lab, the post-design evaluation selection will be located either here or here in the GUI. In my particular GUI, it's located right here, post-design evaluation. In versions that are one version old, it would be located down in here. So click on that, post-design evaluation, and now reset your windows so you can see the best programs buffer here. I'm going to make these windows bigger. And the equity curves here. So give yourself some room. I'm going to be clicking on the best programs here, and the GUI is going to be changing. So let's do that. Let's move that interactive evaluator out of the way as well. So as you can see, whenever I click on a new best program, the GUI updates with a new trading system. And we have a new set of code that comes out here. So let's say that I like this one right here, and that's the one that I want to translate. Well, I still need to simplify this code here, but if I try to simplify it right now by removing introns, it'll take a while to run. It runs slower unless I turn off post-design evaluation and then remove introns. So that was very quick. So here's the new code. It's more complicated than that earlier one, and that's not good. We want a simple trading system. So this one is more complicated, so that's one negative. And it also showed up further down the list. So it wasn't the best trading system that came up in the buffer. By the way, the maximum number of trading systems that you will see here on any one instance of TSL is 300. But of course, we can have 20 or perhaps a maximum of 40 instances open. Well, that's a lot of trading systems that are available for translation. So let's save this C code, and I'm going to call it -1 or _1 because it's the same setup, only it's a different program that came out of the buffer. We'll save that, and now I'll translate that one. The _1 version, I'll translate that over to Easy Language code, copy it to the clipboard. Now go back into my Easy Language and paste that in there. And I need to do that again because I accidentally fat-fingered the keyboard. Let's try that again. So I'm going to translate that one, copy to the clipboard, done with the translator, go back to Easy Language, and paste that. There we go. And verify it. And I got an error message, and let's see. Oh, I accidentally copied over an extra A. Well, that's not going to work. That's not the way you spell arrays. Okay, there we go. And now that trading system should have been already rerun in TradeStation. I'm going to pull up the strategy performance report. And here's the new strategy performance report. And let's see how that compares to the new equity curve that we were looking at in Trading System Lab. Let me make this a little smaller. Okay, so here we are. We can see this new equity curve, and that looks pretty close to what I translated here. So I changed equity curves by simply clicking on a new best program buffer, a new best program that came out of the buffer using the post-design evaluation. So now we could translate all of these, or as many as we want, over to a new strategy, save that strategy to a different name in TradeStation or multi-charts, file, save as, change the name of that strategy, and these strategies are ready to trade then in TradeStation, ready to go live. What we can't do right here is just simply hit play and continue where we left off. This run has stopped, and once the run has stopped, we need to then restart Trading System Lab. So either close it out completely and restart it, or use the space shuttle. So I just space shuttled and then blue square. So whenever you see that gray background, you know that you need to blue square to bring up the project again and begin your work. Those are the 3 steps. This completes training video number 1. Please let me know how you liked it. Thank you very much.